Welcome to Florida Education News. My name is Dr. Tony Arza, and today I'm in Sarasota County, and I'm here sitting down with Heidi Brandt, a school board candidate in Sarasota County. So thanks so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
We've been going around the state of Florida trying to sit down with candidates. We've invited candidates from everyone who's running in these races. We invited also your opponent, Jimmy Glover, to sit down with us. He refused to come. One of the things that we want to do is we just want to give voters the opportunity to meet the candidates. So try to stay out of the way. But we do want to make sure they're informed on the issues. Mm-hmm. And Sarasota County is concerning. When I've been around the state and I've seen a lot of the school board races, there's a lot more happening here than is happening in other places. Before we get into some of those things, I think the first thing to start off with is, why you're running for office and why you're running for school board.
Good question. It's one that I am asked almost every day. But it all really started because of my daughter. She is in the public school. She's going into 4th grade at Southside Elementary School. And I just got jumped in head first when we put her in kindergarten, and I've just seen what a great school it is. And as I've been in the elementary school, I've gotten to know parents who have children in middle school and high school, charter schools across our community, and I believe that they are worth fighting for. And when I saw what was going on and the direction that some people would like to lead the schools, I knew it was even more important for me to jump in and take a stand. My parents were both teachers. My grandfather served on the school board, and my uncle served on the school board. So I have a long, long history of family and public education, and it just felt like my time to step up.
And so how do you think that your role as a mother and then your history in the community, and obviously if your family's been involved in the school board, you have a long history here, how do you think that wealth of knowledge, your experience as a mother, will help you as a school board member?
Well, first of all, I think parents need to have a front seat at the table in their child's education. So being a parent, I wanted to have that voice not only for myself, but for the other families and friends and parents out there. So I thought it was important to have a parent at the table. I have been the PTO president at my daughter's school. I was elected to be the Southside Foundation for the Arts president this upcoming year. Everybody's out of school on vacation doing their summer thing, but I'm actually in the school right now. I'm sitting down with the principal, I'm interviewing new hires, I'm working with the teachers, even while everyone is out of school, because that's what my commitment to the school means. I've been working with teachers, parents, interviews. I am looking at the curriculum every day, trying to decide, at least from a foundation standpoint, what our parents want, what our students need, what fits with the teachers. So just my experience being involved, I think, gives me a good grasp of what it would be like to be on this school board and start making some of the decisions at a higher level. Having those roots in the school for so many years, I think will give me a good perspective on the inside.
So one of the big things in education right now is school choice, mm-hmm. and a lot of people have come out and been vocal against school choice. Some of your opponents have come out and been very vocal against school choice, calling it the privatization of public schools. Megan Tinneman, who is a part of the Democratic slate that's been endorsed by the Democratic Party, they've come out publicly and they've been supported by organizations, Support Our Schools Action, I don't know the exact name, but she was encouraged to run. And one of the things that they're advocating for is they say that there are people that are trying to dismantle public education. So in your race in particular, there are people that are concerned that there are people apparently running to dismantle or destroy public education. I just want to know, are you running to destroy public education? Where do you stand on public education?
That bothers me a lot, and one of the reasons why I did get involved is the fear that people bring to the community. We have to give the community facts. No one's trying to dismantle public education. Charter schools coming into our community benefit our community. They're seeing a little niche where maybe we need a Spanish school, maybe we need an arts school, maybe we need to build a STEM program. So I don't believe there's any dismantling of the public education. We need to look forward, be forward thinkers. They're definitely just creating fear in our community. They're being backed by organizations that aren't even here in New York City and California. What do they know about Sarasota elementary schools and middle schools and high schools? They know absolutely nothing. They're being backed by these ideological organizations that don't know what's going on in our community. So it really upsets me that they're driving such fear over the facts of what's really going on in our community.
Yeah, and I personally, because we want to make sure voters are educated, we try to look at the data and see what's available that can help us understand the people that are in the races. And our starting point is always to invite people and talk to them, like we're doing, to get to know a little bit about the candidates. We did invite Jimmy to be here with us, but he didn't want to come. And one of the questions that I would ask him, but I guess I'll have to ask you, why do you think that he is accepting donations from people from California? And why do you think, and not only donations, but the maximum contributions that are allowable under the law he's receiving from California? Why do you think that he's receiving donations from people like that? And what does that tell us about what he stands for?
Well, it scares me, for one thing, that an outside organization is trying to have influence in our schools. And should he get elected, will that person also have influence in our schools and decisions that are on the school board? I don't believe that's right. They're getting talking points from these outside organizations that don't have kids in our school, that have never volunteered for any of our schools or any other community, organization that we have. They're regurgitating talking points of a narrative, not actually looking at our schools and what we're doing, focusing on the good. Yeah, we have things we need to improve upon, but they're not talking about that. They're talking about little talking points from these outside organizations that really are not true.
And your opponent has been endorsed by Equality Florida, which has been very vocal about their desire to push a pro-LGBTQ and also an anti-anyone who believes that there's such a thing as biological sex. But I'm just curious about why do you think organizations like that are getting involved in the school board in Sarasota County? In my experience around the state, I've interviewed Republicans and Democrats in the nonpartisan races throughout the state, and I haven't seen a lot of people that are out there advocating for things that have to do with anything more than we want kids to learn to read, we want kids to learn to do math and to write. But Sarasota feels different, and I just kind of want to get your perspective. Is it true that there's more going on here than just a school board race? Because it seems like there's a lot more things around this race than meets the eye.
When you have outside organizations coming in and donating and trying to control an election, you definitely have other things going on. They're not talking about our curriculum, they're talking about ideologies. We need to talk about reading, our literacy rates, our math, science, civics. We need to talk about what will help our children succeed in the classroom and beyond, expanding our workforce training, getting those little niche programs like I was talking about, maybe children who are more focused on STEM, engineering, cyber technology, robotics, even AI. We have to create programs for our children. These outside organizations, I am afraid, if they get control of the school board, are going to take us a step backwards, not move us forwards. Our curriculum, which is set from the governor, is great. It is about educating our students, not indoctrinating our students, and we cannot allow that to change.
You've also been endorsed by the Republican Party in Sarasota County, and people obviously would want to know, that can be looked at one way of saying, okay, then do you support politics in education? And so just to make sure that you have the opportunity to clarify, school board is a nonpartisan race, but do you believe that politics should be involved in a child's education?
No. I don't believe politics belong in a classroom, and I do not believe that they belong on the school board. Yes, I was endorsed by the Republican Party, and outside of the school board race, I'm very proud of that endorsement because I am a proud Republican, and I have been involved in many campaigns throughout my years living here in Sarasota. Fundraisers, working red tents, just about doing anything, door knocking, phone calling. I've just been very, very involved, and I'm very proud of that endorsement because I think they saw my service to the community and to conservative leadership, and so I'm very proud of the endorsement. But that does not mean I'm going to take any politics into the classroom or into the boardroom. So.
One of the big things that voters don't know is that school boards are responsible for a very large budget, and you've seen the polls, I've seen the polls, we see it in the media. There's an affordability crisis in Florida and in the United States, right?
Yep.
One of the things that I think voters want to know is how would you, if elected, make sure that the budget is working for the local taxpayers? How will you oversee the budget to make sure that there's not misspending?
Well, if you do look at my race, I am clearly the fiscal conservative out of my race. It's a $1.36 billion budget. I often say we don't have a money problem, we have a spending problem. That's a huge budget. We really need to go in and look and see where we're spending it and prioritize where we're spending it. I worry about the funding coming in. I worry about students leaving, but one of my focuses is going to be bringing those students back. First addressing why are they leaving, and then bringing them back, because we can grow our schools and we can get that money back, and we need to find out why they're leaving and fix that. That's a big issue that I will work on when I'm on the school board.
Is there anything else that you would want the voters or constituents in Sarasota to know about you and why you're running?
I do want to say one of my major things that I want to get accomplished is our literacy rates. We are fourth in the state. We're number 4 at about 70%, which is awesome. But my husband has this funny saying, our older kids would come back and they'd get a 92% on the test. And they'd be like, look at this, I got an A, this is great. And he'd say, where's the other 8%? And they looked at him like, what? He's like, you missed 8%, and go back and fix it, you know. And I think about that with our 70% is great, but what about those other 30%? Where are we missing those kids? So just being in the school and working with children, I'm a reading partner at my school. I really have a big spot in my heart that wants to put a lot of time and effort into literacy. So I want people to know that about my campaign. I will be the fiscal conservative, talking about safety and keeping education always at the forefront, no politics.
And if I could ask you, just because I think it's very fascinating what you said, a lot of times we want to be able to obviously celebrate when we achieve great things, and Sarasota County Public Schools has achieved great things. But you mentioned never losing sight of the ideal, because at the end of the day, striving for greatness, and you mentioned that. And can I just ask you, why do you think it's so important for us as a community that we always have in mind the ideal? Because, you know, obviously if elected and as an elected official, there's always this temptation to want to say we've arrived. And obviously because we want people to know the good work that's been done, the good things that have been accomplished. Why do you think that maybe your experience as a mother, and you talk about your experience with your husband, about him always encouraging your kids to strive for greatness, why do you think that's so important to you, and why do you think that that's important to include on the school board?
Well, it's amazing to celebrate our successes. We should be very proud. We're an A-rated district. We're number 4 in literacy. We have to always celebrate our successes. But there's always room for improvement. In each one of us, and every child, and every student, every teacher, there is room for improvement. And I think we are moving in the right direction. I believe our superintendent has great ideas for a future. The Future Focus program is wonderful. And so I want to be there to support him and his ideas. Like I was talking about this new middle school, bringing more workforce training. So while we can celebrate our successes, the community needs to get together and help us and support us and move to the future and just build on those successes. So maybe we'll be 75% next year and just go from there.
Well, thanks so much for sitting down. It's been a real pleasure. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. It's so nice to have you.
Thanks so much.